And one. Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I spend more time in front of this camera than I do anywhere else, I think, at the minute, which is a good thing because I enjoy talking to wrestlers, and we've got one today. We've actually got a wrestler today, and you'll see if you're watching on YouTube, there's two belts behind him, and he won one of those belts as early as 2 days ago at the time of recording. It is Brox Boulder. Brox, how are you, sir?
Very well, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. Listen, the sun is out in the UK, which is very rare, so we have to be happy when the sun's out over here
I
in
understand
the
that completely. I understand that the sun's out.
UK.
It's beautiful here today, and I am recovering from a 3-day loop, and I'm very, very, very tired today. But I'm very happy to be here and very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking your time as well, Brox. We appreciate it. You mentioned that like a 3-day loop. So please, talk about the life of an independent wrestler, because I think people, not saying that people just think you sharpen and you go back, because obviously you may have regular jobs. So what is that a diary of an independent wrestler like?
It's exhausting, as is regular wrestling in general, like on the big companies. But like you said, we have our shoot jobs that we have to do. Monday through Friday. Even if we're traveling through the week, we're still doing our shoot jobs before we go and hop in the ring. But it's hard as an independent wrestler to incorporate what you need to do to be able to perform in front of the fans in the ring, and then also be a regular guy, a dad or your shoot work or a coach or whatever you're doing in those day-to-day days. So, it's a grind, but I think it's what makes independent wrestling so special is that the guys that are in this business and the girls, we can balance all of that and continue to go out and do what we love every day in front of the fans that support us. So I think it's a grind, and it's tedious sometimes, but once the music pops and the curtains spread and the chill bumps come through your body, it's like no other high or any endorphin or any drug that anybody could ever put in your system. It's so great, especially when the fans react to you in the way that you want them to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know exactly what you mean. Do you think it's, and this isn't about being disrespectful to the guys that are doing it in the bigger companies, because they most of them have paid their dues, like yourself, in doing it. But is independent wrestling harder than wrestling, would you say, for a bigger company where perhaps you're on one show a week, maybe two, depending on where you are, compared to an independent show where you Friday you could be in one side of America, Saturday you could be over here, Sunday you could be in a different time zone. Do you think it's more difficult being independent?
I think if it's any more difficult, it would be just because of the shoot aspect of things you have to do in your everyday life. Taking nothing away from what they do, they train 365 days a year to be who they are and do the things they do, and they got to catch this flight and that get that car to this venue. But their shoot is getting on a plane and going from this city and that city or whatever they're doing, one or shoot two shows like you said. For us, it's I've got to go take my daughter to dance practice before I hit the school and go in my school and hit some training or hit the road to go to 4 hours away like we were this weekend. I think it's maybe a little more difficult adding in regular life
Mm.
and wrestling life where those guys that is their job. That's what they do for money, and they kill it. They do an amazing job. But we have to sprinkle in our wrestling lives with our everyday lives. So I think it makes it just a little bit difficult, more difficult, but nothing no disrespect, like you said, to them. They're what we're trying to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But do you think on the flip side, like 'cause you mentioned taking your daughter to dance class, that you get that option, whereas these guys with the families don't always get that opportunity to do that because they're constantly on the road?
Absolutely. So where it's a little bit harder, it's also a blessing in
Mm.
disguise. So yesterday, for example, I was able to catch my daughter was in a dance competition 40 minutes away from our home. I was able to catch that early morning, catch her solo, and then come home, pack my bag, and then hit the road for a 2.5 hour trip one way to wrestle last night for Appalachian Mountain Wrestling in Kentucky, who is, in my opinion, bigger and better than OVW. That's controversial. I don't care. I'll say it. AMW is bigger and better than OVW. Probably the best independent promotion in Kentucky. But yeah, so I was able to do both in one day. So yes, that's the blessing of it, and that's probably the flip side for us. That makes it just a little bit better. The pay's better there. Our family life included is better here. So
Ends and means justified, right? In a lot of ways
yes,
for doing that.
yep.
I wanted to talk quickly about your training because obviously people will know probably both your trainers if they knew anything of wrestling. Bobby Blaze and of course the wonderful Jillian Hall. Did she train you how to sing?
I'm sorry, what was it? Did
Did
I?
she train you how to sing, Jillian Hall?
No, listen, the funniest thing, thank goodness she didn't. And I'll tell you something funnier at the end of this. So, but one of my very first events I ever done right after I got out of training, I never leave training. I really
No.
hate people that say when I got out of training. I feel like if you ever get out of training, you should probably just get out of the business because you should never
Yeah,
stop learning.
exactly.
But when I was released to start taking bookings,
Mm,
um, I went back and watched the match, and I didn't know there was even commentary to the match. And someone sent it to me, and the commentator said, "Oh gosh, this guy was trained by Bajillian Hall," and his partner said, "I hope he doesn't sing like her. I hope she didn't train him to sing." So no, she did not train me to sing, thank goodness. But I will tell you this: I've been in many places where Jillian has sang karaoke, and she's a good singer. Breaking
yeah.
news: she's a good singer. So
She is a good singer, but from what I've not, you're not the first one that said that. But when it comes to training, because you mentioned they're released to take bookings.
mhm.
So is it a case of, and forgive me, I've done 4 weeks of training when I was very younger, much younger than what I was now, and I learned very quickly and very painfully. I was never going to be a wrestler. As much as I wanted to do it, and as much as I think I could do it, I couldn't. There's just no way. Um, so was it a case of these guys, Julian and Bobby, training you in when you get to a point that they think you may have had some practice matches with them? I get that, but they get to a point and say you're ready. Then you is that the point where you go out, or is there more to it than that?
So, the thing for me, and now that I'm in the position where at our school I assist Bobby in training,
Hmm.
I understand what they do and more now than then. So just like anything in any profession, you train or you go to school and your name is built on what you went to school for or your reputation. So these guys and gals that are training out here, especially the Bobby Blazes and the Jillian Halls, who have phenomenal names and phenomenal careers, they're trusting you to go out there and protect their name in the ring when you get to say their name that they trained you. So it's a very important thing that they release you, and I say release, but to give you their permission, their blessing. Hey, first of all, you can use my name. Secondly, go get your bookings. And on the independent circuit, to go back to that, it's really up to us to do that. We have to reach out to these promoters. We have the blessing of social media and things like that Bobby and Jillian didn't have, or even further
Hmm.
back, those guys didn't have. They had to send VHSs and call on landlines and things like
Yeah.
that. We're talking from across the country. This wouldn't happen back then,
No.
so across the world. I mean, so yeah, so it's very important for these guys, these trainers that especially when they have great names to trust you to go out there and protect their names on the road because that's what they have at this point in their lives is what they worked their whole lives to build. So it's really important that they take it seriously whenever we take it seriously whenever we get released to do that.
I was going to say, Brooks, does it give you a bit, not say a bit more pressure, because obviously you could be trained by anybody and if they give you a blessing, it means something. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
When you're saying, hey, I got trained by this person or Gillian Hall and Bobby Blaze, and people are like, oh, these guys are, does it give you a bit more, does it put a bit more pressure on you because of the trainers that you had at the same time as maybe you're wrestling for their name in a lot of ways?
Absolutely. I mean, when I've gotten bookings just because I was trained by Bobby and Jillian. They never
Mm,
even see me work. They were like, "Oh gosh, that guy was trained by Bobby or Jillian. Yes, bring him on." So that's the pressure. That's when I get feel the most pressure. Or when we're in a locker room, Troy, my tag team partner, and I,
yeah,
which I'm sure we'll get to,
yeah.
we'll be in a locker room and they'll be going through the meetings and they'll be saying this, don't do that. But before they do that, they'll say, "Oh, Grappling Inc, don't worry about it. You guys were trained by Bobby and Jillian." And then the other locker room's looking at us like, "Oh, these guys," and that's pressure. That's the pressure. But I get to see Bobby on a weekly basis. He's the trainer here at the school that I,
Mhm.
I own and operate. Jillian still lives really close. I get to talk to her whenever I want to. So that's the blessing where they can continue to see me and keep track of us, the ones that had them, to know that we're still doing them justice. But the pressure is real for sure, especially with Jillian, because I always joke that Jillian, I had them both at the same time for about 11 months. And they were good cop, bad cop. And Jillian was tough and get up, stop crying. And Bobby was always like, do what you can, don't get hurt. So Jillian's always the one for me that I'm like, okay, get up, stupid. Jillian the actor be in your ear right now. So
That's interesting. But when you sort of mentioned, because you mentioned about, I remember you just mentioned as we were talking there that when that music hits and the curtain pulls back and you feel that adrenaline and stuff. But let's go back to that first booking outside of training that you got. Your music hits, you go through that curtain. What is like the first few things that you're saying to yourself as this is happening?
Same thing I tell my trainees, our trainees now, don't suck. I mean, that's the last thing I tell them before they go out. Like I'm a motivational speaker, obviously. No, yeah, I just, it's what I hear is Bobby and Jillian's voices. I
Mm,
hear them when I'm laying on the mat in the middle of a match. I hear them during holds or moves or anything. I'm listening. I just hear them in my head. But like that very first one, man, it was so surreal. Like the goosebumps were crazy. Like The Rock talks about, he slaps his forearm, but
mm.
it's real. It is real. I go out and I see people that I know. I see people that I have no idea that I've ever seen before, and they're cheering for me. And they're cheering for a guy who at that moment, at that time, I was a social worker, and I'm like, I'm just a social worker that this little town, but they're losing their minds over me right now. And but it was so surreal. But it was the pressure, like you talked about. It was okay.
Mm.
Bobby's here, Jillian's here. Good and good, really, because they're who they are on each shoulder, saying, do this, go faster, go slower, And it was just, it was such a surreal moment. And I'll be honest with you, I'll probably watch my first match once a month just to stay humble, to know
Mm.
that I've come a long way. I've put in the work, and these guys, these trainers of mine, trust me. But there was a time when I wasn't all that great, and I watched that just to remind myself that stay humble and keep working. So
Yeah.
it was really surreal.
Yeah, you've got, I mean, absolutely. I think there's always a thing that you never forget where you come from, right? Or the loyalty aspect. And I spoke briefly about Ignite before we started, which is the promotion that we do a lot with. And someone said to me the other day, if a bigger UK company comes to you, or even, you know, God forbid, if someone in the United States comes to you and says, "Hey, can you do stuff?" I will happily do it as long as it doesn't affect stuff with Ignite. And that's because they gave us a platform when really nobody else would. Like, I'm not saying nobody else would, but they gave us that opportunity. And when we went there, the first thing that we all said was we felt like we were home. And
Mhm.
like, so it was like at that point, and we're very, loyalty is a big thing for me, and I'll always be loyal to Ignite for that very reason. But anyway, enough about me. Let's continue about you. But before we get into your tag team grappling links, I've got that written down. What's the state of play, do you think, in American or just in wrestling in general? A lot of it's all streaming now. Obviously, we got Netflix, we got HBO for, we got AMC for TNA or TNA Plus over here. Where do you sit on the state of play of wrestling right now?
I get asked a lot because I run a promotion.
Yes.
Why don't you live stream your events?
Mm.
And being from the generation, I'm an older fella. I got into wrestling a little bit later in life. I followed the DDP path, obviously, but I
Yeah.
started a little later in life, and so I loved old school wrestling growing up.
Yeah.
I wasn't, and being trained by Jillian Hall, who had very old school trainers, Fit Finley and those guys, and Bobby Blaze being trained by the Malenkos. I have a very old school mindset. So when I get asked about live streaming, our events, especially on the independent circuit, I'm like, it takes away from the feel. Why get out of your house when you can sit in front of your computer and watch it? So for independent, I feel like the streaming aspect is not a killer, but it's definitely something that takes away from the experience. Now on the bigger platforms, I think the streaming side of it is really genius, honestly,
Mm.
because for me, I've been to quite a few major events live. The most recent one I went to WrestleMania in Dallas when Stone Cold wrestled
Kevin
Kevin
Owens.
Owens, because I'm a
Yeah.
huge Stone Cold guy.
Me
He
too.
was the reason I love wrestling. Um, so I went there, and it was cool to be in the building for that moment. But I
Mm.
don't I don't know that I really love the aspect of being in the nosebleeds at a big show. That's why I think the independent is so much cooler, because
Yeah.
someone in the nosebleeds of independent can call the heel a turd nugget, and you can respond to that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in the
Yeah.
nosebleeds calling Kevin Owens a whatever, he didn't hear anything I said.
No.
So, but I think it's for streaming purposes on the main aspect of wrestling. I think it's amazing because it
Mm.
gives people a look that maybe it gives you a little more insight in things because they do so many things with the streaming now. It's not just streaming the event; it's so much more. So I think it's really great for them, but for us, no, I don't think it's a great idea, honestly.
No, we don't do it. We don't do it at Ignite either. We'll put the show out there after it's aired at some point,
Right.
but we don't live stream. We've done it a couple like we've streamed the Turnbuckle Championship match
Sure.
live, but then nothing else.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Well, and what we'll do, and then sometimes what we'll do is we'll do like like for training, we'll do a free like Thursday night Facebook Live event
Yeah.
that is just our training guys doing matches, just to give them a feel of being on TV and
Mm.
letting them know how that works. Here's your timing. Here's this. Here's that. So there is, I guess, there's a place for it on the smaller independents, but like in that aspect, yes, I agree with you. That's that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, on the subject of the bigger companies, what's your take on the ticket price scandal that's been going on at the minute?
I think it's a genius. It's a genius way to get people to buy tickets, is what I think. I
Do you
think it's
think?
it is very clever. It's very clever. A friend of mine, we were coming back from an event Thursday night, and he said, "What's your take on it?" And I gave him my take, and I don't want to give you my take here, obviously, because
No.
yeah. But my real take is whatever it is. But I think it's a genius way in having people buy tickets. I think it's
Yeah.
great. Like, and they have to. You have that's the name of the game. That's what you're doing. Like, you bring in the biggest names and you book the biggest matches, and you do that to bring the tickets in. So why not find clever ways to find them to book tickets? When we teach these guys to do promos, we tell them, sell me a ticket. Sell me a
Yeah.
ticket. So for them to do it this way, I think it's a genius idea to sell tickets. That's what I think it is.
Definitely. So, right. Grappling Inc. Now, this is obviously I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling, and I'm a great fan of I'm a big fan of old school tag wrestling. You stick me in front of demolition matches, or the Fabulous Freebirds, or even Power and Glory, or the Rockers as well for a bit of fun. I love it, and I love the old school way of working. You cut that ring off in half; they can't get a tag. I think there was a match in Australia that I watched a couple of weeks ago that they even done a move where the opponent that was trying to get the tag, so maybe suplexed the guy, but he suplexed him into the corner of where his tag partner was, so he still couldn't make the tag. It was so good
Right.
about old school wrestling. But Grappling Inc, tell us about how that started, and tell us about how the way that you guys work.
So Troy and I, we started at the Art of Grappling when we started training 6 years ago. My goodness, feels like a lot longer than that. But we started Art of Grappling 6 years ago with Jillian Hall. We started the same night. It's the first day of the school. It had just opened. We started the same night. We met there that night. We challenged each other for a long time because I kind of felt like we were the alphas in the room.
Hmm.
Well, let me take it back. I felt he was the alpha in the room. I felt like
Yeah.
he was the best guy in the room. So in my mentality, I'm going to go after that guy, and he'll tell you that that's kind of where he was at too. So we kind of attacked each other in a good positive way, in a good pushing each other way, and tag team was not something we were thinking about. It was just we met there, and then we started taking seminars together. We would bring people in at that place and do seminars, and then Bobby jumped in, we just clicked. We clicked immediately, which is funny because, like I said, I took the DDP route. I
Hmm.
just turned 45 in March. Troy's 26,
Jeez.
so. But our mentality is great. Like
Yeah.
he has the same mentality. I tease him that he's the oldest 26-year-old I ever met in my life. He's older than I am. He still collects VHSs. When we're on the road, we'll stop at thrift stores so he can buy VHSs he
Yes.
collects. But we just clicked. We clicked. Our chemistry together, just our personalities was really great. Our sense of humors are similar, and for me to be partnered with who I think is one of the best talents we have within 500 miles of where we live is a blessing and a thing for me that I cannot thank the wrestling gods enough for, because that guy is phenomenal.
Hmm.
Titan Troy is by far, like I said, one of the most underrated and comparable talents in 500 miles. He can work any style. He's strong. He's athletic. He can do anything you ask him to do. So for me to be partnered with a guy like that who has the same mentality, it's crazy. In our style, like I said, we love old school. We love the old
Yeah.
school side of things. Um, so that's what we do. Rock and Roll Express.
Yes.
We're very much. I would say we're that. We're very much that. We're and I like to say that we're funny. We don't do slapstick humor. We're not funny in the ring on purpose, but we're and Bobby hates this word, but we're entertaining. That's what he does. Uh, we're entertaining until it's not time to be entertaining anymore. It's
Yeah.
time to get the business. That's so we're Grappling Inc. We always kind of say Troy's the grappling side of it because he's a shooter from way back, and I'm kind of the strength of it. So I'm the business side of it, Grappling Inc. So it's we're have fun until it's not time to have any fun anymore. So I'm going to work. So it's and I love him. He's like I said, just chef kiss as a wrestler. He just love the guy.
Brilliant. And when you start working out as a team, now obviously look, you mentioned the age difference. I'm not that far behind you. I'm 42 this year, so we're quite close. So in a
Right.
sense, it's different generations in a lot of ways because of the age difference. It possibly is different
Sure.
generations. So when you're looking at working as a team with Titan Troy, is it kind of like you're looking at maybe I mean, maybe he's looking at the 80s as well, but you're maybe looking at slightly at a demolition way, or as you say, the Freebirds way, or the express way of moves. And how did you work out the move set? Was it a case of you was looking at this, he was looking at that, and you created something in the middle, or was it both old school fans? So we just looked at a particular way of working.
So Troy is a huge Japan style of wrestler. He
Yeah.
loves the Japan things and he loves old school. Like he loves, like I said, the Rock and Roll Express and he's an Eddie Guerrero fan from way back. He
Yeah.
loves
Yeah.
Bobby was trained by the Malenkos, so we both love Dean Malenko and we were very similar. The only thing we don't, and I'm not saying I don't love the Japan style of wrestling, but
Hmm.
he really loves it. He's like a dictionary when it comes to of information for him. So, and I'm not, but I can tell you anything you want to know from pretty much 2006 back.
Yeah.
But he has that too. So it was really a cool mesh of the things. So Bobby, one of the things Bobby says is what's old is new, and it's a term in wrestling
Yeah.
that keeps rewind, keeps coming back to the top. So that's what we do is we mix a little bit of what we see and what he likes in that style, and we take what we love from the old school. We mix it. One of our favorite moves we do is called a monkey flip senton, where he'll monkey flip me into a senton onto someone, and we just took two simple little moves and put them together. Our finish is a lawn dart spear where I will put him on my shoulder and lawn dart him into someone to a spear.
Brilliant.
We call them yeah because I just go yeah. Um, we take things from the generations we love and we put them together. But that's the cool thing about our chemistry, and that's why I think it's unmatched because we started day one together. We've taken all the
Hmm.
same seminars together. We've traveled hundreds and thousands of miles on the road together. We've even when we go to these shows and we're not tagging, which is very rarely, we're still in the same show, still in the same locker room, working singles. He's been by my side running promotions and helped me. And so our chemistry is unmatched. The only people that I think really kind of is a little better with chemistry is our shoot brothers, the guys that they come from the same womb.
Yeah.
But I feel like that Troy and I we do that because we're here all the time and he's so great. So it's fun to be able to pull those things and put them together.
What's the three most important things would you say to get from a tag team partner perspective that you think that they need? If you're going to tag with someone, what's the three sort of most important things that your partner would need?
Chemistry is number one.
Yeah.
Absolute chemistry. The fans know immediately if you don't have chemistry with
Hmm.
someone. Chemistry is number one. Number two would be the thing that you need to do in wrestling, and it's leave your ego at the door.
Yeah.
You cannot have an ego in a tag team. You've got to support the guy that's standing next to you in everything that he does, or be able to reel him in if something's not going the right way, and be able to talk to them like a professional. Because Lord knows that professional wrestling, I think, is the word that needs to be focused on more from everyone is professional. So having a professional attitude and not having an ego would be number two. And number three, be creative. Be creative and don't be afraid to get out there and pull from places that you people have not seen things. Uh, like I said, a simple monkey flip senton put us over the top. Devon Dudley saw it at a con we were working one time, and he was there, and I showed it to him, and he made one little tweak to it, and it was just a get higher, is what he said. And he was like, "That's so great!" Like he complimented it. So a tag team Hall of Famer complimented something. We took two things and put them
Yeah.
together from way that's been around forever. So it's just those three things: don't have an ego, have chemistry, and don't be afraid to try things that no one else is doing. Uh, and I think that that's a almost a perfect formula to and maybe if I can add an honorable mention,
Yep.
push, be creative in your merch. Like
Yeah.
we have silly, like we take advantage of the social media. We have a TikTok where we do goofy stuff on TikTok. We're funny there, but we do get and do serious.
Mm.
We have shirts that are, they're play off of other things that people would like Monster Inc. and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Yeah.
and Teen Titans and stuff. We do silly things like that, or things like that. Be creative and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. If you flop, you flop. I mean, you think about Stone Cold, who I'm always going to go back to because I love him,
Yeah.
but he flopped and flopped and flopped, and then hit Stone Cold, and he is one of the best to ever freaking do it now. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to do that.
Big shout out to his first wife, who was from England as well, that made the Stone Cold bit up. We have to. I'll tell
Absolutely.
you a quick Stone Cold story, if I may.
Oh,
Um,
please.
so I did meet him in Oxford Street in London. He was signing copies of the Stone Cold Truth. But at that show, at that particular autograph signing, I said to him, "There you go. That is it. That is it, folks. You can probably still get it off Amazon somewhere." But so I'd actually told him that about 2 years prior to me meeting him. So his first wife lived in a place called Southend, which is in England. It's in Essex. It's about 20 minutes from where I am. So when I say I'm 20 minutes from Will, 20 minutes the other way is Southend. I was working in Southend. I had a shoot job in Southend, and I was very young at the time as well, but I was walking across the road, and I looked to my right, and there was this big black 4x4 Texan flag on the back of this four. And I joked to myself because he let me past, and I joked to myself, "Oh, well, no, that's Steve Austin," because I knew his first wife was from
Yeah.
Southend. I turned to say thank you to the guy that was letting me through, and well, I thought it was him, and so I assumed, and I was like, "Is that him?" When I went to this autograph signing, because I recalled to him the date, I recalled to him the time, and he went, "That was me, boy." I was like, "Oh," so it was Steve Austin. So I'd met him 2 years prior, but didn't know. But obviously, because he had the shades on and the goatee on,
Right.
so I'd actually met him prior to meeting him, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I never got the pleasure, but like I said, he's the one that got me into loving wrestling. I have his books. I think I still have his VHSs that they done years ago somewhere, and I have a big Stone Cold doll. I don't know if you can see it, but there's
Yeah,
a Stone
I
Cold
can
doll
see
above
it.
my head. I have his loggers here, and I'm just I don't drink, but I have the cans up there, so
Yeah, you never know. You still could meet him. Yeah, it's not beyond the realms of
I hope so one day.
it's still a possibility. You mentioned that championship there that you won a couple of days ago at time of recording. Now, look, it doesn't matter whether you're working for an independent promotion or whether you're working for a big promotion. When they put a strap on you, it means something, and it should mean something to the person that's winning Z strap. And of course, it wasn't your first strap. You've won championships, but how when you get told, even in an independent promotion, you're getting a strap, how does that make you feel personally?
I feel honored, like you said. If a company trusts you to carry a flag from their promotion, I've opened my own promotion. I know that what a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into run a promotion. So when someone gives you something like that to represent their company, it is an honor because they trust you to do that. I feel proud to be from Bobby and Jillian. I feel proud to be from the place that trained me, from all the people that have helped me get to where I'm at. It's an honor among nothing else that I've done in this business. I mean, I can get to wrestle Stone Cold tomorrow, and that would be great. But like for any company to say, "Hey, Brox, we want you to carry this belt," or Grappling Inc, we want you to represent our tag team division. It's crazy, and we've carried a lot of championships across multiple promotions in just 6 years. We carry two current promotions now, and it just it almost hurts my soul when we don't carry them because I feel like we're not doing the things we need to do to represent that company in a more positive way. And I know it's just a business, but I'm not a goal. I'm not a belt guy where I'm like, if we don't win gold, we're failures. It's just it means something to me to be able to say, "Hey, Bobby, hey, Jillian, we're out here doing what you want us to do, and the companies trust us." So It's an absolute honor. It's an
Yeah,
absolute honor.
it's brilliant, and I love to see it. I love to see it. Right, halfway through, so we're going to start to well, I'm going to mix up a little bit. Now, I did tell
Okay.
you beforehand that we were going to, I
Yeah.
split things up and I'm going to ask you a set of different questions now.
Okay.
And to be fair, and to be fair to everyone, I did mention some of the subjects. I haven't gone into all of the questions, but I've mentioned the subjects of said questions. And those of you that have seen these interviews would have seen it. I had Diona Perazzo the other day learning English slang. So you're lucky you didn't get that option this
I
week.
may I may need it. I may need it with the Appalachia that I got in my voice. So I may need
Well, if you
it.
ever do, let me know. But she actually won. She won it 2-1 in the end. But anyway, your first question is a question that I ask near enough everybody. Look, we always do Mount Rushmores in wrestling, but I don't like to do Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. I like to do Mount Rushmore of wrestling themes because a wrestling theme means something to everybody, and or certain themes will always stick into your head. But Brox, if you had to give us your Mount Rushmore of wrestling themes, I think I know one of them. Where are you going to go with your top four?
Yeah, obviously when that glass crashes,
Yeah.
in no way am I going to impersonate JR, but business is about to pick up. It's the glass crashing for me is one. Getting to be in the arena and hearing the Undertaker's theme when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame that year when I was there
Yeah.
for Stone Cold, sent chills down my spine in the best way, absolutely. So I feel like the Undertaker's theme
Yeah.
would be one. Um, I feel like Shawn Michaels,
Yep.
as silly as it is,
It-
and to hear it now, when you hear it
yeah.
now, he's singing big of a sexy boy he is. Shawn Michaels is probably one that the best in ring performer I've ever watched in my whole life. And even though I didn't really grow up. I mean, I grew up watching
Yeah.
Flair.
Hmm.
Uh, I think I wouldn't say that I'm a huge fan of Flair, but I'm not a hater of Flair at all. At all. I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
saying, like he, if we done a wrestling theme Mount Rushmore hot topic, he probably wouldn't be on mine. But just because I have other people, and that's the greatest thing about an opinion, you can have them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Flair's is probably top. It has to be in Mount Rushmore because just of who he was, and
Yeah.
when you heard it, and he didn't change a lot. I
No.
think that's the thing about themes when they don't change because you have so many people that like they bounce around. Like if the longevity of a theme is for me the just like we and Troy have our own thing. We don't use anybody's music. We had our own thing, and it's not
Yeah.
AI. For the record, it's not AI. We actually had someone write and record our stuff, but
Brilliant.
the themes when they have the longevity of them, man, they're better. They're just so much better. And those four for me, like when I hear them, still I'm like, ooh yeah, just I'm excited. So
It it was interesting because you meant the three out of the four themes that you put in had zero lyrics. Flares maybe with the woo, but
the
like
wood, yeah.
if you add that, but if you go back, I love this because like people sing. Obviously, you get people now to singing songs as wrestlers come out and stuff, and that's all fine. But I love the fact that you got three out of four there, zero limit lyrics, just music. It's brilliant.
It just there's something about it, man. Like the with Stone Cold, it was
Well, you knew what you were
somewhere.
getting, right? When you come
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. The glass crashes. I mean, what else are you thinking when glass crashes? Oh crap, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
With the Undertaker, it was just so it it told a story in itself.
Mm,
His music told a story in itself, and then with Flair, the longevity of what he done in his career and what he
yeah.
done, you just knew that he was there to be the best guy in the ring. Now even Sean's really like even with the lyrics, like you just knew that Sean was about to come out there and probably be the match of the night.
Mm,
So that for me, yeah, 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 absolutely, I agree with that. The lyrics are fun. They're cool. I like them. I can get down with them. Jillian Hall's entrance is one of my favorites to listen to. Just be dumb
yeah.
because she's the hottest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
But yeah, just ask her; she'll tell you. Um, but yeah, lyrics are fun. But yeah, no lyrics is where I'm at. I like that.
Out of interest, this is just a side question. If you could have a band play you out, who would it be? Like you and
Ooh.
your tag partner out, who would it be?
Ooh. Um, he and I are going to differ on this. It's probably one of the things that we differ on a little bit. His music is a little bit different than mine. We like a lot of the same music, but like his would be a band you've never heard of,
Right.
because he's that guy. Um, I'm a mainstream guy because I'm lazy and I don't research a lot of others. But I would say, uh, if I can give you two, because I have two that I
Yep.
really like,
Perfect.
Volbeat or Five Finger Death Punch would be
Yes.
two bands I really like.
Yep.
When I first started, I used both of them secretly. Don't tell them. So yeah, I like both of them.
Excellent. That is really, really good. Right. Table for free is your next one. You've got a table for free, so you can have dinner with three wrestlers, past or present, living or no longer living. Who are you going to choose?
I'm not gonna give the obvious one away. Yeah, it's gonna be Stone Cold. Stone Cold's one.
Yeah.
I would love um, to pick the brain of Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Troy's a huge fan, but I know that Stone Cold respected him so much. No one did respect Eddie Guerrero, but like he was a genius. He was a genius in the ring. So Eddie Guerrero is probably the second guy because with Stone Cold you get a version of wrestling. With Eddie you get a version of wrestling. So those I think you get two different things. Um, I think the third one I'd really like to pick the brain of or have dinner with would probably be my goodness, this one's a tough one. This was a tough one, but I'm gonna say Jerry Jarrett.
Oh, interesting.
Uh, just because when the show Tales from the Territories came out, the first episode
Mhm.
was Jeff Jarrett, Jerry Jarrett, Dutch Mantel,
Yeah.
Jimmy Hart, all the Memphis guys, Jerry Lawler. And Memphis wrestling is as close to what I try to do in my promotion as you can get. It is
Mhm.
the most old school thing that you can do. I love Arn Anderson. I love Tully Blanchard. I love Dean Malenko. I love, there's just so many old school guys that I love that were so freaking good. I've had the pleasure of getting to work, the Powers of Pain. I've had the pleasure of being in the ring with like the Chase Stevens, who were trained by the Trey, or who spent a lot of time with Tracy Smothers.
Yeah.
So that Memphis style, I love it. So yes, it would be Stone Cold, Eddie Guerrero, and Jerry Jarrett, because Jerry Jarrett was ahead of his time in how he booked promotions, and being a wrestler and a promoter. I would want to meet or talk to a promoter like Jerry Jarrett to pick his head. So it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I never forget when I met Eddie Guerrero. That was one of the best moments of my life. He made it great. I won't go into it now 'cause it's too long story to tell, but it's a great story. And I was also drunk with Tracy Smothers at 4 a.m. over here in the UK once.
I love that.
Well, yeah, the once he brought this drink in called absinthe, and yeah, Jesus, that was a night. We missed our train the next day to get back to London because of it. Thanks, Tracy. Good rest of your soul.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
On that note of wrestling tables for four or table for free, wrestler's house. So in this case, you've got to live in a house of wrestlers for a month. Who are you living with?
God, we're such stinky creatures. Man, I don't know that I want to do it. No. Uh, I'm always Stone Cold's always gonna be my answer
Yep.
because he posted a video. I don't know if you've ever seen the video, but he done a video one time just kind of shooting on wrestlers. This is a bar of soap. You get water on it, you rub it all
Yep.
over you. This is a toothbrush. You brush them gimmicks in your mouth.
Yeah.
So Stone Cold will be clean. I feel like uh, Dusty Rhodes, because if I could sit
Yes.
by a fire out back and get to talk to Dusty Rhodes every night. I'm showing my age all over my face right now. I love Dusty Rhodes would be really fun. Um, hot and maybe a little controversial answer.
Mhm.
Vince McMahon.
Nothing wrong with that.
Um,
That's good.
I know recently he's lived in fire, but he is the godfather of what we have now.
Yeah.
So he made us love wrestling back then. So yeah, I think that would be fun. And then if I could get a match in my backyard between Stone Cold and Vince for old time's sake, I think I'd just sit and enjoy the heck out of that. Sorry, excuse my language. I enjoyed the heck out of that. So yeah,
Brilliant. That is awesome. Right. Everyone that works out as a wrestler, you have to be very cool with your calorie intake, but you are allowed a treat every now and again. So when you do have this treat, what is it?
I could eat everyone's weight in spaghetti. I love spaghetti. Like
Yeah.
I grew up dirt poor and we ate a lot of spaghetti.
Yeah.
So you would think that I would hate spaghetti, but I don't know why. Maybe because my mom, made such good spaghetti and she's been gone, God rest her soul. But I love spaghetti. And I know it's terrible because the pasta and the
Oh,
meat and red meat, but I would eat my weight in spaghetti. I'm sounding like the worst American ever just now with my Appalachian twang talking about spaghetti and my mama. But yeah, yeah, spaghetti all day long. Love it. Love it.
if it
Love it. Love
helps,
it.
my vice is chocolate, and I don't have to stick and eat. I'm not a wrestler, so I can eat my body weight in chocolate. I have a
I am.
sweet tooth. I have a
That's
sweet.
okay. That's okay. I found out a few years ago I'm type 2 diabetic. So I've never been a
Oh,
chocolate guy. Never
yeah.
been a chocolate guy. My mom was. I always joke and say my mom's the one who gave me my type 2 diabetes because I don't like chocolate and she loved it. So she's the one who, gave it to me. But no, so yeah, chocolate's never an issue, but spaghetti, that's a problem. And like I see when we go on these roads, we meal prep and I'm like, I want
Yeah.
to meal prep spaghetti, but all these, I feel like I'd be the fat kid in the corner going, like, just slurping my spaghetti up and these guys would be like, what is that guy doing? He's a wrestler? What is going on? So I don't want to do that.
Side note: if you ever meet Tom Latimer, get him Galaxy chocolate.
Can I tell you the best story about Tom Latimer? I met him. Can I
Go.
tell you the best story?
You
Do you have
can.
time? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I've got plenty of time. Go, go, go. Yeah.
When you emailed me to do this, I thought, man, this guy doesn't know I'm a talker, and we're going to be a 5 hour podcast. No, we're not. So I was running a company. The company that I started with was FTC, Failure to Conform
Mhm.
Wrestling, and it opened Art of Grappling. Well, I started there as a trainee, and then I built my way up to where I actually ended up running Art of Grappling. I was in charge of Art of Grappling, and I would book all of our shows even through FTC. And we done a festival here in town. It's in my actual hometown of Catlettsburg, Kentucky, and we do it every year. But the promotion I told you about earlier, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling, who is again to me the biggest company in Kentucky and the best, booked Troy and I before we knew the date for Calixburg. So I took that booking. And you don't take a booking from Appalachian Mountain Wrestling because that guy that runs that company is his production is amazing. Kyle Maggard, shout out to you, man. You're great. So we took that booking, but come to find out, Catlettsburg was on the same day. So we had booked Latimer for Catlettsburg and a bunch of NWA guys, and he was current NWA champion at the time. And I was like, oh man, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I was actually scheduled to get to work, like Carson Drake or whoever I really wanted because I was booking the show. But I was looking real
Yeah.
forward to it. And two of our closest friends in the company in our lives are Casey and AJ Casana. I love the
Yeah.
Casanas. And they were going to be there. So long story short, the show wasn't. The show was good. The matches were fine, but like the logistic stuff that I always do on top of booking the matches that makes all the wrestlers' jobs easier wasn't there. You know what you're doing when you walk in the door. You know your
Yeah.
times. You know your referees. Everything. You know everything because I'm that guy. None of that happened. So it was a mess. Well, I had 4 or 5 guys call me and say, "Hey, man, don't ever miss the show again because we're not coming back if you are." Well, one of the guys that was driving Thomas to the airport was a close friend of mine, a guy named Evil Nate, Buzzsaw Nate, who's a wrestler here on the Independence, amazing talent. He was driving. He was talking. Him and Nate were talking about the kind of the chaotic event, and Nate was like, well, "Brox isn't here. Brox always has everything right down to a science." And then, because Thomas was like, "I want to meet Brox."
Mm.
Well, lo and behold, 7 days later, we were back with AMW, and Kyle Maggard had booked Thomas Latimer for AMW, just as a coincidence. Well, we're in a locker room in a gym in this huge school in the middle of Kentucky. And I'm sitting in the locker room with my gear on. And I'm working a singles match that night. So Troy's not with me. And Kyle Maggard comes around. He has Thomas Latimer and he's like, here's Brox. And you gotta know Kyle. Kyle's, 6'4", big old
Yeah.
guy, big, thick Appalachian accent. There's Brox right there. Well, I look up and I'm looking at the NWA champion. I'm like, oh no, what have I done? Like, am I about to be done forever? Because if the NWA champion says you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
So he said, and I'm not going to impersonate him at all as far as his accent because me, I don't have a regular accent, so I can't impersonate anyone else's. But he said, I just want to tell you, I'm never going back to a company that you run unless you're running it because I've heard great things about how you run a promotion. There was so much chaos. He said the matches were fine, but there was chaos that I'm not used to. So, and everyone there said that you were the reason there was chaos because you weren't there. You were here in another town. So I want you to know that you got put over big, and I trust if 5 or 6 people told me it's true. So I would love to work a promotion where I would love to work for you one day. So the NWA champion tells me that. I'm like, I don't even need a match, guys. I'm cool. I'm out. I'm going to retire now. I'm
Yep.
good. Luckily, I was working KC Kazan, AJ. No, I was working KC that KC Kazan, so I got a good match anyways. But yeah, that was a cool Vladimir story for me. Just for the current NWA champion at that time. Hey, I want to work for you. I mean, I could retire a happy man at that point. So
We love the NWA on this show as well. So
yeah,
my co-host Fiona's off to Cedarville, is it, to watch KFW, one of the territory promotions.
right.
She lives in Scotland. She's flying out to see. She's going to Texas, but she's going to take in KFW. We recently sponsored the Page Sisters in their show recently, and Tom Latimer now looks about 20 years younger because he's cut his hair off. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
which-
absolutely. Yeah, and he had a phenomenal match with a guy named John Noble, who is an independent legend here in Kentucky, or in Kentucky. I'm in Ohio, but in Kentucky, John Noble. Shout out to him, who was a great talent. They had a banger of a match. Probably to this moment, the best independent match I've ever watched in my life was Thomas
wow,
Latimer and John Noble, and so it was a
interesting.
pleasure for me to get to see that.
Interesting. And speaking of interesting, I want you to give us a Brox Boulder interesting fact about you.
Ooh, interesting fact about Brox Boulder. Um, I get told I don't look my age a lot, so I will say that a lot of people are surprised when I tell them I'm 45. But I started this at 39 years old. I hopped in a ring for the first time at 39. So a lot of people know my age, but they don't believe it when I tell them. So I guess an interesting fact would be I started this so late in life that I was probably on my way out even when I started. So I
Wow.
started at 39. Started at 39, and a lot of people don't believe me. I have to show my ID to a lot of different people in the locker room because they're just like bull crap. And so I have to show my ID a lot that I am that age. But
To be fair, you
starting at
don't
39,
you don't look 45.
I
So
appreciate it. I appreciate it. The lighting is terrible in this. My studio light, my main studio lights are out, so I have these like really bright LEDs shining on me, and I feel like I
yeah.
look like the whitest, palest guy on the planet, and the lighting is terrible here right now. So
No, you got good skincare. That's for sure. It's an interesting, yeah, for you. But the interesting fact, there you go, guys. And it also proves that you're never too old in a lot of, well, in some cases. So
never,
as
never.
long as
I have
you
a lot of people tell me that when they want to come in, they're like, I really like to do something, and I'm like, but they're like, I'm 32, and I'm like, shut up. Sign the waiver and let's go. Because that's the cool thing. Like here, here we're at after my company's called Aftermath Pro. We train for ring announcers and commentary and valets and managers and anything you want to do in the business. We can train you to do it. So
Brilliant. Excellent. You can tell us more about that in a second because I'd like to know more. But before that, I was saying before we went on air that I saw one of your singles matches. One that you say you don't wrestle singles too much, but I did see it was a couple of years ago now, and I believe he's at Jordan Carlisle, I believe, and it was in for FTC, and it was in a steel cage, and it got me thinking like when because obviously look, you work wrestling matches, you work tag matches, and you may have to work matches where a gimmick, a quote unquote gimmick is used, could be a ladder, could be a table. Steel cage matches. What is the aesthetics of booking a steel cage match or being a part of a steel cage match?
pain, a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Big huevos. I don't know, honestly, man. Like it, when you get called to do a cage match, like it's a huge without pulling back the curtain, it's a huge trust.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. That's the biggest thing about a cage match. It's a huge trust. And that match in particular, it's the only cage match I've ever worked in my whole life. And with that guy in particular, Jordan Carlisle and I have had some of the best matches I've ever had in my life.
Mm.
Talk about another amazing talent. Like that guy, uh, he's one you love to hate, but when you're wrestling, you're going to have a good night because he's
Yeah.
that good. Um, he was also in our training school for a while. He had trained somewhere else and came in and was able to sharpen his skills a little bit and made him. He was great when he got there. He was even better when he left. But yeah, inside of a cage, it's you have legal bounds to use very painful objects to
Yeah.
get your advantage points. Coming from my perspective, we had built up. The guy had been running from me for a little while, and he was carrying a title that I wanted. And so to be able to get in a cage where he couldn't run from me and be able to legally use steel to get what I wanted was a great feeling. But that match in particular, I'm glad you pulled that one out because man, it was one of my favorite matches, and such a great talent across the ring from me. And getting to work in a steel cage is, when you get into business, you want to work types of matches and you get to mark them
Yeah,
off your bucket list. And that was one that I got to mark off my bucket. I'm not saying I wouldn't do another one. I would do one tomorrow, but get to do one with a guy like Jordan Carlisle, and getting to experience the pageantry that comes with being in a steel cage, because it's just, I don't think they get, I think they get done too much sometimes.
yeah,
And I think that if you save them and do them the right way, they keep their lure. And I think
yeah.
that's what a cage match is about. Is you have to build the right story to do a cage match.
Mm.
If you just got two guys who don't really have any history and they just want something, like if it was just for the title, Carlisle and I wouldn't have been able to do the things we've done.
Mm.
But I chased him and he ran from me and he kept the title away from me and he cheated in two or three other attempts that I had. So to get him in a cage and tell that story inside that animalistic type of setting, man, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
It really is. I miss the cage ends when it's only when it's only escape to win. That's one of the
Right.
ones that I
Yeah.
like. All right, the old school wrestling. Right. Before we
Yeah.
start to wrap up, you've got a podcast.
I do have a podcast. It's similar to yours, kind of. It's called Hitting the Ropes with Brox Boulder. Hitting the Ropes with Brox Boulder. It was something I started forever ago. Something that I wanted to. I started out with just to review shows we were doing at
Yeah.
FTC, and it turned into, I got to meet a lot of really cool people in the wrestling business. So I wanted people to know about them. So I started bringing
Mm.
them on and interviewing them, and we've done game shows. We've done, 15 things in wrestling you should see across the independent circuit before you stop watching wrestling or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, Hitting the Ropes is fun. I've got to sign on with the company, the Wrestling Society Network. um, I work with them, and they picked up my show a few years ago. They hired me to do another show, and then I conned them into getting mine too. So, but God bless them, the amazing people at WSN. But yeah, it's been fun. I got to get to talk, and obviously, if you don't not learned over the last little bit, I'm a talker. So,
Yeah.
have my own show where I get to talk is really fun. So, yeah, Hitting ropes has been really fun for me.
Excellent. I look forward to seeing some more of that. Where can people, if we say Wrestling Society Network, is that where they can find the show?
Yeah, yeah. You can go to Wrestling Society Network. We have a lot of that. We have a lot there. We have Instagram, any kind of socials we have. We're actually getting ready to launch a really cool app where you can watch all kinds of content, old wrestling, TV shows about wrestling, cartoons about wrestling, music about wrestling. You can find all the podcasts that are done there on WSN on this app. There's so much, and it's going to be streaming on, Apple and Roku and just all the different platforms. It's going to be a really cool app where you can communicate with other wrestlers. It's going to almost be like the Facebook of wrestling. I don't want maybe I shouldn't say that because Brady might kill me, the guy that runs at WSN. But it's going to be a social media platform where other wrestling fans can get in and communicate with other wrestling fans and share their love of it, and they can communicate with us, the WSN personalities, and if you love wrestling, the Wrestling Society Network is definitely where you want to go to find all kinds of wrestling content, from, like I said, music and cartoons all the way up to old shows. And we have a Patreon where we do some stuff. We do some a little more edgy stuff on the Patreon, starting at the very bottom with the dollar tier all the way up. So definitely something to check out. WSN. It's definitely a great place.
Go and check that out. Right. Last question for me before I wrap up. You've mentioned it throughout the whole of the show. You have your own promotion. Talk to us about it, please.
Yeah, like I said, I ran FTC and FTC started grappling for years. The company sold, and back in January of this year. So it was abrupt, and they just went a different direction, and no hard feelings, no heat.
Mhm.
So a lot of the students that were there at the Art of Grappling was like, we want Bobby and we want Brox, and they didn't want to stay there at that school. So it led me to open up Aftermath Pro. Aftermath Pro is just a love of what we were doing there and a continuance of what we were doing there. We've got multiple 6+ events booked for this year already. Again, I opened the doors January. I opened doors February 1st. So
Mhm.
we have a facility. We have 2 rings. We have Bobby Blaze as our head trainer. Troy and I assist him. We have 15+ students. We can train you to do anything in this field. I can bring you right here to my studio and teach you how to do commentary. We can teach you how to do ring announcing, managing, anything you want to do in this wrestling business. We can teach you. We can teach you how to build a ring and take down a ring. If you want to be ring crew, if you want to be security, if you love wrestling and want to be a part of it, Aftermath Pro can help you with that. Uh, and Aftermath Pro is what I tell everybody. It's a family business, and I don't mean that with just my immediate family. I mean, if you're at Aftermath Pro, you are absolutely 100% family. Um, I take everyone's advice and suggestions into consideration, and everyone works as hard as I do in this. So it is a family business, and I love every single person that carries the Aftermath banner. Anybody that's ever going to walk through Aftermath stores and work for us, they're family for me for life. We have our very first event in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks,
Brilliant.
May 2nd. May 2nd in Lesage, West Virginia. We're doing a fundraiser show for some friends there at a church and to help them out, raise some funds for their cause. I couldn't think of a better way to kick off Aftermath than to help some friends in our community and do an event there to help them. And yeah, it's been a labor of love, and it's just continuous with what we were doing. We didn't miss a beat. We just kept right on going. We train every Tuesday and Thursday. We do open mats on Saturdays when Troy and I are in town, which is rare anymore. Bobby's here training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We've got Mac Quackenbush coming in this year to do a seminar here. Talked to Bob Evans, and he's been a great help. Brutal Bob Evans has been a really big help in talking me through stuff. I love that guy. We got some big things planned. We got some good things I can't really talk about, but some cool stuff with Aftermath Pro, and it's been a blessing. What came out of ultimately getting leaving the place that I called home, where I learned to wrestle, where I
Mm.
learned everything, and but getting to come here and start this, and it's been, man, I it's been a blessing in disguise to be able to come here and do this and just continue on with what we're doing.
Yeah, that's going to be brilliant. And what you said May the 2nd, so I need to quickly talk about May the 3rd, which is the show that I will be working at next, which is Ignite Wrestling the day after Aftermath. We're going to be presenting the End Game from 96 Shenley Road in Boreham Wood. Our champion now, Chris Aries, his first ever Triple Crown winner of the Ignite Championship and the Turnbuckle Championship. Well, he makes his first defense of Z Turnbuckle Championship against Denzel Mack on May 3rd. A name that you will, in America, if you're not heard of already, you'll be hearing it soon. Tommy Tanner. He will be making his first defense of the Ignite Wrestling Championship against another name. It's well, he's going to America, I think, this week actually, by the name of Joe Lando from Close Personal Friends. He'll be defending. So two title matches on the show. We've got the chaos and the aftermath from the Rebellion and the general manager CJ Carter from the last show. That will continue into this show. We have got a breakout division match that will excite everybody in that field. Don't get Trust me when I tell you, it's going to be an amazing match. It might have something to do with the fact that I scouted the talent for them for that match. So no pressure on me. We've got 20 tickets left. So 96 Eventbrite, go and get your tickets for that show. Are your tickets on sale yet for Aftermath?
Yeah, yeah, you can get them there at the door. You can get them through our Aftermath page. You can get us through there on the Facebook. And we've got all kinds of other events. Like we got some things. I'm not going to really announce too much for what we got in
Oh,
Aftermath. I want to focus on May 2nd, just because it's for a good cause. I want people to focus on coming there and helping the community there at Cox Landing United Methodist Church, and doing the things there to help those. And we've got, me and Troy have events coming up too as well after outside of Aftermath. We have Rated R Pro Wrestling and
yeah.
Route 33, which we carry
Yes, the
tag
other
champions there. I
belts.
can't. These Route 33. Listen, Spencer, West Virginia, small town. They love wrestling. They shut the place down when wrestling is there, and Jess and Josh Montgomery that run that place, 5 star. But we have Route 33 Wrestling, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. And I can give you dates, but we'll be here all day long giving you dates. But just if we've mentioned them here, please go check them out. They're great promotions. Follow us on Aftermath Pro on Facebook. We have a TikTok account as well, and then I have social medias all across. If it's Brox Boulder, it's me. Hopefully I'm the one and only. You don't there's not,
Okay.
nobody wants too many of me. I can promise. But yeah, follow me on all social media, especially TikTok. I would love to get some more TikTok out there. Troy and I are always doing goofy things, and I would love to come over there and maybe me and Troy don the ring of Ignite. Man, that sounds really great. Bring some
Well,
Grappling Inc to the
It's a
UK. I like
grappling
it.
Inc. We got a few times. I mean, hey, if you want to punch the rebellion in the mouth, I'll be more than happy for you to come over here and do that after what happened at the last show. I mean, jeez,
We love to punch people in the mouth, man. Sounds like we got a business thing going on already. Like we're all about that business. I told you,
we're
we
all
like to
about
punch
the.
people in the mouth.
Oh, that'd be great, please, jeez. Actually, the next time you get to punch Carson Drake in the face, can you do that? No, he's got the most punchable face in wrestling. He looks like Fred out of
Yes.
the Scooby Doo.
Right, right. Like, come on, man. Like you flirt around with Daphne and never go fight and never shoot your shot, but you ridicule Scooby and Shaggy the whole time. And he slept on and he slept on Daphne or slept on Velma. Come on now. I mean, Fred's a jerk. I'm just kidding. I'm playing. I just want
He is really good. He's really talented. Probably going to be the NWA World Champion at some point in 2020.
as he should,
As he
absolutely.
should be. You mentioned the stuff you've got coming up. I just need to mention one name coming up, the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast later on in the year. Returning name, the fourth time we've had him on. I get the privilege of calling him Uncle Eric now, but Eric Bischoff will be joining us later on in the year again. One more time. He's been on 3 times already. We had to delay it because of the Real American Freestyle stuff that he's got going on at the minute, but he will be on at 2026 at some point.
Very
That I
cool.
can
Very
guarantee.
cool.
That I guarantee. Brox, it's been great. Honestly, I've loved talking to you about stuff. Good luck with Aftermath. Good luck with everything else that you're doing. And like I said, if I can get you over here to punch the rebellion in the mouth, I will do so with pleasure, sir.
Just let me know. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity and good luck to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Follow us at HTT Buckle everywhere. But until next time, everybody, from Brox Boulder, from me, Adam Cousins, buckle down, stay safe, and good night.